Hi there, welcome back to another video from the White Boat Studios. This is part 2 of painting in acrylics. This is the sketch. I don't know if you can see that. And if you want a copy of this sketch, just let me know by email and I'll send you a copy. This was the geranium pot that's outside our house, so we're going to try and replicate that in acrylics. I'm a complete beginner in acrylics, so I have no idea what I'm doing here, which will be part of the fun. The materials that I'm using today, this is about a 10 by 8, just a cheap canvas, and I've given it a couple of coats of gesso just to make sure that we have a nice surface to paint on. Sometimes the canvases come pre-coated, but I like to give them another coat or two just to make sure that the base is sound. One of the reasons I tried acrylics, or I stopped painting in acrylics, was because of the waste. I'm a Yorkshireman, and Yorkshiremen are quite tight traditionally, and just the waste of dried paint being thrown away was it didn't sit comfortably with me. So I've discovered these, which are small plastic pots with screw lids, and it keeps the paints for a couple of weeks. They're not completely airtight. So I have some colours pre-mixed up here. I've got some indigo, and I'll leave these open. I've got some purple. I'll probably mix those two colours for the shadows. I've got one that I used on a previous one, which is a kind of earth colour and black in there. White, of course. These are all acrylics from these are them, and they're I think they're Royal Talons, just standard series, and I just went in and raided the art shop with whatever combination of colours I thought I needed. This is a green that I've mixed up with. This is a dark green I've mixed up with I think ultramarine and a yellow. So I'll leave that one out. That's going to be my darks. I've got a mid-tone green, which again I've mixed up with yellow and blue. And also this real nice blue, which is, I think, yeah, it's a combination of white and cobalt blue, which is about the colour of my pot. So I'm going to add a bit more to that. I also love this colour and I can't wait to use it, so I may use it up here on the sky. Just to run through the brushes, I'm using my students' quarters watercolour brushes because I don't want to spoil my good brushes. I've got a plastic kind of tray there in case I want to mix on it, and I've got various fairly cheap hog's hair brushes of varying sizes. So this is going to be a kind of experiment today. I'm sure you'll let me know if it goes well or badly. I've also got some of these tools, which are, I may use these today. These are just a variety of kind of scalpels and some plastic scrapers to try and get some texture. So let's make a start. I'll leave these here if I need them. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix this blue up first of all. I'm going to mix, it's a real bright blue, is the pot. I don't know what these pots are for. We got them from Greece. I don't know if they're for I don't know if they're for olive oil or for rainwater or what. Perhaps somebody could tell me what they are. So I'm just mixing these two blues together. This is cobalt blue and ultramarine blue, and I'll mix it with a brush. I'm just mixing these together. I want to kind of half mix this because I want some of this, the two different blues, to show up. So I'm not mixing it thoroughly. I try not to scrape on the lid because otherwise that seals the pots when I close them. So I'm going to start here with a couple of earth colours. Let's go for it on here. I don't know if you can see this. Just put a big splodge of this kind of beige colour. I want to paint I'm going to start with a kind of background, and I may just use this blue just for the sheer hell of it. In fact, I'm not going to put that on a pot, let's just have a little bit on there. So I'll start with this, only because I like it. I'll just moisten my brush and then just wipe it on a cloth. One of the things I do like to do when I'm painting canvases is to paint round the edge, and then if I'm kind of reverse painting around this flower. I don't know why I wanted to use this, I just like it. So what I try and do is, obviously if you finish off around the edges, it means that if somebody doesn't want to go to the expense of framing it, at least they have a finished article. So I'm just painting this. This may need another coat. Not quite sure if these are student quality paints or artist quality paints. About the interruption. Business as usual. Right, I'm going to paint this background. I want this area down here to be quite neutral, so I'm going to mix this on the canvas, and it's a mixture of a purple colour, and then I'm going to dip into my indigo. This will be quite dark in here. Again, I'm kind of reverse painting around these flowers and right up to this. This is the wall edge. I'll just keep varying this mix. I want these to make the flowers really pop, so I want that to be quite strong, quite watery there. I quite like that too. I'll close in on this and then you can see a little better. So I'm painting around these flowers, just roughly, and introducing some of this blue. And again, I'll carry on that around the edge. Sometimes I'll leave the edges until the end, and then if there's no paint left over, trying to match it up all the time. I want that flower to go around this edge. I'm doing it the dark colour to really make these geraniums pop out. I'm going to add some black now. I want this to get even darker under here, so add a bit of black to this. The great thing about painting in acrylics is it's not like watercolours where you've got to predict where every highlight's going to be, because you can basically go light over dark, which you can't do in watercolours without the addition of white gouache, which is the purists don't like it at all. So I want this to really make that wall stand out. Just straighten this up a little. I'm really looking forward to doing my live lessons, which will be starting shortly. 1 o'clock, 3 o'clock GMT every Friday. Just need to get a good internet connection to be able to make sure that that's a good experience for everybody. So I hope you can join me with those. Keep an eye out for notifications on. I might go Facebook Live or I might go YouTube Live. But either way, it'll be good fun. I've been watching the ones by Andy Geeson and he seems to have quite a good time. So do the people that are watching. Okay, so that's the very darks. There is going to be some more darks down here where the light's coming from the left hand side, and this will be casting shadows on this tin. So I just want to let this line dry before I do the wall, so I'll come back in a second for that. Okay, so this is dry now. I've just dried that with a hairdryer, and that edge is quite dry. So now I'm going to paint this the wall area. Just zoom out a little and then you can see this all happening. Okay, so with a flat brush I'm going to take this creamy colour and I'm just going to try and warm things up with a little bit of a terracotta. I really want this to be quite textured blob. So I'm going to mix this on this board. I'm just trying to warm this up just to make it look similar to the colour. It's going to be predominantly the top colour. So I'm going to turn my board over and I'm going to do exactly the same around this flower right up to the wall. Sometimes if you use the corner of the brush, it means you can really get into these little corners. So I just want this to be kind of neutral shade. I'm going to mix a little bit of black there in with it actually on the canvas. Acrylics are so forgiving because you can go light over dark, and that's quite a new experience for me. I'll finish the edge off again. Just a little slight bit of dampness on the brush, that's all. I want to try and whack this on. I want this to have some kind of movement and texture. So I'm just kind of reverse painting around here. As I say, you don't really have to do this because you can go light over dark. I like to see the brush marks as well. Not everybody does, but I think that's one of the really attractive things about painting in acrylics as opposed to watercolour. Splodge it on and painting quite carefully around this. This is a kind of serrated edge to this tin box. Since we got back, everything's been painted blue. I quite like the texture now that I'm getting on this wall, which is quite nice. And I just want that to really make this tin box and these flowers really sing. So I guess I'm using counter change. I'm going to make it even darker in here. I don't know why I'm even painting up to this stem, because I can just paint over it, just with deeper paint. In fact, let's go over there, because the geraniums are usually kind of flat on the bottom. I love the fact that you can get texture into these acrylic paintings as well. The underdrawing becomes kind of irrelevant, mainly because you can't see it, because the paints are all opaque. You can't see your underdrawing anyway, so I like it that anything goes. Lighten it up a bit there. It'll be quite dark down here. I don't know if that's the same child misbehaving next door. Interrupted the last video. I think it must be here for a long time. And I'll finish off around the edge. Same way. So this is just the stone wall that the box is attached to. Do the same down here. And leave some gaps. I'd love to see the brush strokes. I'm sure watercolour experienced acrylic painters will look and say, what is this guy doing? But frankly, I don't care. As long as I'm enjoying myself, doesn't matter. And now we're getting quite dark down here. This is where the lid hits. Just leaving a few specks of white. This is a leaf. Just trying to vary that to make it look interesting. Let's make that more even up here. A bit distracting to the eye. Just kind of blending this on the canvas. reverse painting around that leaf. This is another clump of flowers. Let's keep this quite plain down here. And I'm reverse painting around the shape of that tin box. It has two small ridges. Let's take it quite dark down here. I'm going to really make the it'll really make it pop. I'm going to put the red on for the flowers. Again, I'm just finishing off on the edge. Quite strange here in Bulgaria because they don't value watercolour on a piece of paper, and I guess it means that it incurs some expense to whoever buys the painting, whereas with a canvas you just put a string on it and it's good to go on the wall. Maybe that's because everybody has apartments here in the town. Okay, so I've established some of my darkest darks. There is also going to be a very dark area just in here where the shadow of this tin box is cast. But I just want to let that line dry now, so I'll be back in a minute. While that acrylic is still wet, I'm going to just scratch out some stems now. And then we'll paint those in next. Okay, so let's get some of this lovely blue on. Right, let's whack some of this blue on now. So for this I'm going to turn my board around. And I'm using a 3/4 inch flat brush for this. Trying to get quite an accurate edge. And I'm just going to run it round from the light side to the dark side. Obviously, if this was watercolour painting, I'd know exactly how to do it. I'm just trying to establish the curve of this tin box. Keep varying that mix a little. There's a leaf there, so I'll paint around that. And gradually, as it gets to this end, I'm happy for that to become even darker. Try and paint around this. And this is going to have shadow on it, so I can just paint over that. So I'm just trying to keep the curve of this tin. I think this must be a noisy place to try and do a tutorial. So now I'm just trying to establish that lovely blue. I'm going to add some rich colour to this side of the tin because the light's coming from the left, so it will be darker on this side. Let's add a little bit of black to this and just merge that in. That will help us establish those darks as well under this little lip. Hint at some shadows under there. And again, I'll finish off around the side. Let's have some shadow under there. And now into the blue. This time I'll paint this way up. I'm going to try and leave that little bit of the white highlight on there. If I keep this straight, if I've got a steady hand, it should remain reasonably consistent size all the way over. I'm going to add some highlights on that front edge eventually, and we'll finish off around the edge. Try and make it a bit darker there. finish off the next one too. Try and make those lines parallel. Just a slight curve on this tin. Keep turning the brush over. Finish off here. And underneath. Just change that colour. I'm just trying to get that curve. Okay, so we're getting the kind of base colours on now. And we'll just let that dry before I come back. While this edge is still wet, I'm going to try a technique for that I use in watercolour painting. I don't know if it'll work in this. I'm going to just try and do some lifting off to try and establish some highlights down there. Obviously there's a limited time when this works on acrylic. And it's still lifting off now, so we're getting a nice highlight there. I may extend that along. Keep washing my brush out, just the same way that I do in with watercolour. And let's have something about here too. As if it was reflecting something, and we'll carry that over this. Just with quite a little squiggle. I'm going to add some white paint to that later. So I'm just trying to give some variety to this. Got quite a moist brush now. And we're getting some highlights. Okay, we'll just let that settle. Okay, now I'm going to try and establish the dark. I'm actually going to paint all this because I know that I can lift that highlight off again with white. So I'm just painting this black now. I'll carry on through this wet area. I'm just quite sure what will happen. And around the side. Same on this one. Trying to keep that line parallel. Don't quite get the same accuracy as I get with my watercolours, but there you go. It's all about having fun. And then washing my brush. Go on, let's add some white. While it's still wet, who knows what will happen. It just goes grey, that's alright. Yeah, we'll leave that to dry. Okay, I'll come back to that in a minute. I'll just finish this top edge. All we're doing is establishing the underneath dark parts of those. I can't wait to get some red on. So come on, let's go for it. I'm going to do this with a palette knife. And if you just tap, I'm using this straight from the pot. by leaving those lights on there. I'm going to go for a darker one now. Straight from one to the other. This is the kind of dark side of this. So I'm just going to leave some whites there, and I'm going to just dip into my white. It's very dangerous when you've got a red, everything could turn pink. So I'm just wiping this off. Yeah, and I'll pick some white up. Let's have a big splodge of this. So most of the lights would be on the left hand side. My white's now just turned pink. So let's establish some more reds. Let's go for this bright one. I love it that you can get texture with acrylic paints. Go for it down here too. I'm just literally patting it with this palette knife. And we'll finish it off around the edge as well. I'm going to add some highlights to that once this is dry, but I want to establish the texture of these lovely flowers, and I want some more up here. Geraniums are kind of dome shaped. Direction, and then we'll let that dry before we add some highlights, otherwise everything will turn pink. I'm going to try and add some darks onto the dark side of these now, so I've just got this purpley colour. I'm just trying to let those mix on the canvas. The trouble is when it just starts mixing it, you lose the clarity of the dark. I'm just trying to keep that to the bottom and right hand sides of these flowers. Do the same down here. And then we can establish the highlights with the white once this is dried. Almost touch these petals. And then I'm going to dry that with a hairdryer now. That's still drying, but I'm going to try and attempt this area here. This has a serrated edge around it. I'm just doing this with quite a small brush, just in a zigzag motion, trying to keep it as regular as I can. And as it moves away from us, it goes thinner and thinner. And then underneath that there's a shadow. So let's do the blue first. A real dark, so I'll try and establish the thickness of this lid. Again, we can go over this with green later. Just do the side as well. And now I'm going to establish the dark, just shadow on the inside of this Sun's coming from the right, so I'll start off with black. Can reverse paint around this. And then as this fades out, I'm going to add some of this purple. We'll just merge those together on me. So this will be quite irregular. Right, down here is going to be leaves, so I'm just going to break that line up. Carry this on around the corner. So the combination of this black and the purple, and it will come to about here. So now we're starting to establish that. So let's add some greens. I'm going to use a flat brush for this. So let's have the stems. Let's have some leaf shapes over here. So kind of putting the mid-tones on. The flat brushes are good for getting these angular shapes. Maybe I should have started on the darks first, that's what they say. So let's go for some black. And now let's go for some lighter green. Ooh, isn't this scrummy? Don't know, it's a little too bright, but it may quieten down when it merges with the other. So again, I'm just concentrating on the lighter edge of these leaves. Great from acrylic painting. Some down there. It might be quite a bright leaf here. Go crazy now with a palette knife. You wipe it just on the edge, in theory, you should get a nice sharp stem. We like that a lot. I think it's time for some mid-tone green. I use the same palette knife. I'm going to add some darks to the lower right. I think it's ready for some more red here. This time I'll put this on with a brush. Just trying to get a flower there. One of those small ones where it's just about to come out. Don't you just love acrylic painting? So I'm just always conscious of where the lights and darks are on the painting. In here is right in the centre of the flower, so I may establish a few more green leaves. Let's have even darker green in here. Excuse me. Some overlap in here. It's quite a liberating feeling once you see less of the white canvas. Makes you hurry up with them all. Let's add some more green. So I'll just wipe this on my tissue. It's a lime green that makes the red really pop. I'm enjoying this. I hope you are. And now I think I'm going to paint carefully around the rest of those whites, but I'm just going to do that really dark. I'm just going to take my black and just try and fill in those gaps. This will be the darkest area of the plant. I think we've lost our tin lid, but hey ho. I'll finish off around the edge, just with combinations of these colours. That's the dark green. The mid green, not even washing my brush out in between now. It's lovely to see the end of the white canvas. Then we can start building it up again. Yeah, I think it's coming on. Wasn't too convinced at first. Not sure I still am, but anyway. I really shouldn't be painting these while they're still wet, but hey ho. It's contaminating all my white, but I'm getting all giddy now. I don't know if this is how anybody else paints. I can't imagine for a moment that it is. But it's just my way of painting. Let's try and scrape off some more detail in this now. So I'm just getting that massive tangled stems in there. Trying to get one coming down here. Got to be careful you don't spear through the canvas. Picked up some dark. It's quite nice. And I think it might indicate that there are some. See, I'm getting excited now, I'm throwing things all over. Will indicate that there's some really bright red new growth on this one. So there's something up there too. Now I'm definitely going to let that dry before I come back with the final highlights. Okay, I don't think this is going to dry for about a week, the amount of paint I used on it, but that's okay. So now I'm going to try and re-establish some of these highlights back. So excuse me if you see the top of my head. I usually paint stood up. So just literally going to try and get this top of this tin back. Just with some white and a rigger. Just these little details that make the difference right at the end. Turn my painting this way out, make sure you can still see it. It's easier to pull a brush towards you than it is to do it side. I think the paint's going a bit claggy on me. Try and use my finger as a guide. We either get paint with too much water or not enough. And I may try and re-establish some of these edges on this tin. Maybe a little bit of detail just in here. Just to establish that tin back. And I think just a white line down that edge. I'll use my flat brush for this. Kind of creamy consistency that we've got from the paint. Be careful around those little flowers. I'm just going to blend this in. And maybe a few small highlights on these little flowers down here. Maybe the odd leaf shape, dry brush. It's basically anything that faces the light, so the light's coming from the top left. So and I think we're done. Thank you for watching. Look forward to meeting you virtually at my live lessons. So don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Hope you enjoyed that. I'm not sure what the vision was when I first started it. Maybe it was that, maybe it wasn't. But I hope you enjoyed it anyway. Bye bye.